Hi, and welcome to Lesson 7. So, this week we're talking about conflict. When you ask people what emotions come up for them when they talk about or think about conflict, it's usually not positive. It is stress or anxiety or fear or anger or sadness or hurt or frustration. None of these emotions are what I would call positive. But today I want to point out that there really are two different types of conflict that happens in interpersonal relationships. So the first is called destructive conflict, and this is conflict that isn't helpful in relationships, that breaks down the relationship between the people. So things like ego conflict, and that's name calling, the use of profanity, gunny sacking, which is bringing up stuff from the past and throwing it in someone's face, the stonewalling, ignoring someone, not dignifying them with a response, even avoidance. These can all lead to destruction of a relationship. Maybe the conflict isn't resolved. Maybe it hurts the people in the conflict more than it actually that the conflict is really worth. In any way, it breaks down the connection between the people in a relationship. And that's what most people think of when they think of conflict. But we also have constructive conflict. And constructive conflicts can build habits or patterns that actually benefit the relationship in the long run, even though conflict is occurring. So constructive conflict can, have you ever been in a conflict where you're like, wow, we made it through it and we're confident that we'll be able to maybe face another conflict if it comes up? So constructive conflict is where we address an issue. We do it in a way that respects the people in the relationship, and we focus on the conflict and not on each other, like name calling or abusive language. We're like, okay, I hear you. I consider what you're saying. Here's what I have to say. And we work together to find a way out of that conflict. Things like compromise or things like collaboration can be considered more constructive types of conflict management skills, because the goal is not to win the conflict, but the goal is to improve the interpersonal relationship through the conflict. So as you read about conflict this week, the thing I want you to consider is, how do you primarily manage conflict? You're going to read about several different kinds of conflict management styles: avoidance, accommodation, competition, compromise, collaboration. How do you manage conflict? And then what are the strengths and weaknesses of that conflict management style? And now the goal is to have our ability to use all the styles to manage conflict. So it's not like we just have one, but we have habitual ways that we manage conflict. And so by understanding the strengths and weaknesses of those habits, we can hopefully maximize the strengths and minimize the weaknesses while we expand our conflict management styles. So I hope you enjoy reading about conflict this week and you learn about how conflict can be constructive in interpersonal relationships. See you next time.